And we sometimes, and more as a women, we kind of dismiss that and say, yeah, I'm strong enough, I can do this. I should not feel this way. Keep in mind, emotions is a response that we have to external or internal factors.
I am Lucia Gallegos, and this is Flowers in Winter.
Hi, my name is Lucia Gallegos, and I'm a registered psychotherapist here in Ontario, Canada. And I'm happy that you are in this space, Flowers in Winter, where we talk and discuss topics related to women and mental health, because it's really important. And before we jump into today's topic, which as you can read, is about 3 things that are affecting women's mental health. The content of this podcast is not intended as a substitute of professional advice. Always, always, always seek advice of your qualified professional mental health. So having said that, let's jump into the topic. Women and mental health. There is a lot of stigma. There is a lot that we do not talk, and that we women suffer in silence. Sometimes because we don't know about it, sometimes because we are not able to identify the diagnosis, the symptoms, and sometimes because we think that we have to be strong and that we can do everything all at once. So in this moment, just take a time to review these 3 things and to notice if you feel identified with any of these. The first one is work stress. There is a lot there. Either maybe because you're in a job position that you need to provide different things to complete deadlines, or maybe you're also experiencing burnout. You might feel exhausted, tired, sad, unmotivated at work. All this pressure can affect us in different ways. One of them, for instance, is high cortisol levels. Cortisol is a hormone, and it's the fight and flight response, and it's a hormone that we need. However, and probably I don't know if you've read before that or you've heard about it, it is important to have cortisol, but we normally have 24/7. And in women, most of women do not have to only to deal with cortisol at work, but also to deal with cortisol at home. So this, when we are experiencing high levels of cortisol, we might be experiencing different not only mood changes, but also changes in eating, or maybe you're noticing that you're sleeping more or you're sleeping less at work. And that might be one of the reasons you might feel exhausted and tired. And sometimes we just don't realize that we might be experiencing burnout. Another work stress that I see a lot in therapy related to work, and that I also have experienced myself, is imposter syndrome. And you might ask yourself, so what's that? Well, imposter syndrome is like that inner voice that is inside us that is telling us, you know what? That thing that you're doing it wrong. You won't be able to do it. You're not good enough, even though we have proof otherwise. But it's like that inner voice that is constantly telling us that we are not able to complete a task or to perform something. All this together, think about it. Think about your own experience at work, in a work environment and a workplace. How is this affecting, like I mentioned it before, your behavior, your emotional response, and also your body reactions as well, and moods. Another thing that also is affecting women's mental health is life transitions. And I see in therapy a lot of women coming after experiencing a change in their life, a significant change, or sometimes might be or might not be recognized as significant because we might be avoiding that, but it's still affecting. Let me give you an example. For instance, you maybe just became a mother and you have a newborn, so your life changed completely. Or maybe you just changed your job, maybe at the same company but in a different position. And maybe there is a lot involved there about the pressure and expectations. Or maybe you just move to a different city or country. And those changes at affecting the nervous system at a different levels. Number one, because it's something new, and brain likes to know how things are. Whatever is new is a threat for the brain. Number two, we don't know how to navigate that. Uncertainty brings confusion and sometimes feeling irritated or anxious as well, because it's something new, it's learning new things. Number three, also feeling stressed because of the adjustments that you have to make. For instance, if someone who is a mother and a newborn, the firstborn, there's something really new for her, feeling there is a lot to expect, a lot to learn, and having that experience for the first time. Maybe you're at work, maybe you're already in that position that you were trying to get earlier and that you tried to do your best, and finally you're there. But also at the same time, that brings responsibility and expectations as well. If you can see, I'm talking about expectation, how expectation is a really important part of this. But even though you were looking forward to this transition, it is still scary because there is a lot that other people probably are expecting. And probably you were also expecting from yourself. Or moving to a new country. Like in my case, I'm from Mexico and I moved to Canada few years ago, some years ago I would say, and that was a whole change. It's not only the language, it's also the culture, it's also the weather, it's also the food. It's not only at a cognitive level that changes are happening, but also at an emotional level. It's also the body trying to adapt to those changes, trying to adjust to the new life that involves a lot of learning to manage all these new situations. And this leads to feeling anxious, irritated, depressed sometimes, stressed. And also I'm thinking about a life transition where probably you move to a new country and you don't only have to find a job, but maybe you need to complete paperwork. Or you are with your newborn and your newborn needs your attention and your love. But also you need time for yourself, or also at a new position and a new company or the same company. But you need to find new tools to bring to your team or to the area that you're working with. So that's a lot. And we sometimes, and more as a women, we kind of dismiss that and say, yeah, I'm strong enough, I can do this. I should not feel this way. Keep in mind, emotions is a response that we have to external or internal factors. So see your emotions as an inner compass that will help you to identify how you're feeling so you can now learn and know what coping mechanisms you can use. And then finally, the last thing that is also affecting women's mental health is toxic relationships. Oh yeah, and I hear a lot of this at my office when I'm working with my clients, and I also when I'm with friends. And yes, I also have experienced those in the past, right? Because I'm also human. I'm a woman and I'm human. Toxic relationships. And I'm talking here in friendships, family, and romantic relationships. And why these three are strongly affecting our mental health as women. Well, because when we're experiencing these challenging behaviors, maybe we are in a romantic relationship with the partner that gaslighted us or that manipulate us or that make us feel so nervous and anxious, well, guess what? That's triggering the fight and flight response, making us feel stressed. And that sensation might be like when the nervous system is activated, it's like, I feel that if you go away, that's a threat. But at the same time, if you stay here, the behavior you have towards me is also a threatening situation. Something similar happens with family and friends, because gaslighting, and I will talk in another episode more about that, but gaslighting or manipulation is not only from a partner to a partner. It could also happen in another relationships, maybe at work, maybe with the family, maybe with a friend, when you feel not validated, when you feel you're in a relationship that is not equal, where you feel that you have to do your best so the other person does not go away, or the other person is making you feel miserable. So that's a toxic relationship. And why this is affecting our mental health? Well, guess what? Again, 24/7, we feel under this pressure, feel the cortisol, triggering different emotions, feeling stressed, anxious, sad. It's like something I ask my clients when I'm working with them in a session. When you're in that relationship, do you feel a lot of anxiety and stress in your body? What might be described as no reason? If the answer is yes, maybe it is important to just pay attention and to identify. Because even though in all relationships there's going to be a conflict because we're human, there is a big difference between there is a conflict, we can solve it, and there is always a conflict and I feel always anxious and stressed and sad in this relationship. So I just gave you these 3 examples that I see them a lot in therapy, that I see it a lot also in my circle of friends, of women, of family, that we talk about this. And I just wanted to share this with you so you can maybe identify and say, you know what, I feel related to what you just said. Maybe I'm currently experiencing a life transition. Maybe work stress is somehow consuming me and making me feel really tired. Or maybe I'm in a relationship that I just feel like I'm always under being attacked by the other, even though sometimes we might call it love. Or sometimes we might call it, well, it is family, so we have to agree to whatever our family members are doing or saying. So I hope these ideas are useful for you. And like I said at the beginning of this episode, if you notice any of these and you would like to seek for help, please do so and go and look for a qualified professional mental health that will help you and will provide you with tools to navigate all this. Because keep in mind, it's not about not experiencing any of these circumstances. It's more about that we can have tools to navigate these circumstances and to learn coping mechanisms. That's important. Enjoy the rest of the day and see you in the next episode.
Flowers in Winter is a podcast by Lucia Gallegos, music by Rosy Cervantes. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Facebook as Lucia Therapy.